We're taking a look now at one of the most important issues for many families in this country, how the pandemic has affected the mental health of new mothers. A UK study found anxiety levels are up 37% and depression rates spiked 30% in pregnant women and new mothers during this pandemic. We spoke with Monica Ayers, who gave birth to her daughter Nora in March of 2020. Now she's pregnant with her second child, and also Ashante Hill, who has a 5-year-old daughter. Nova is her name. She is 8 months pregnant. They told us this pandemic increased their anxiety and their mom guilt.
I think that a lot of the support systems that I anticipated weren't there. And one of the hardest things for me was just the isolation and the loneliness.
When I did find out I was pregnant, it wasn't really an issue until the winter started to come and COVID really started to ramp back up again. There's been a few moments during this pregnancy, if I'm being honest, that I wished not to be pregnant. We're constantly having to think about restrictions and how safe is it for my fiance to be around others and then come home. So both fear and the restrictions would be the reasons.
I went through a lot of depression just from feeling so lonely because we were too scared to see people.
Definitely felt isolated. My fiance has always worked out of the house, but not being able to have like friends come over and just kind of sit with me and enjoy my pregnancy with me or go over to their houses has definitely affected us.
She was a spring baby, which is great because there was the option of seeing people outdoors. I had such anxiety. I had people sit 20 feet away and we just sort of hold up the baby. And that's how my dad met his granddaughter, was from 20 feet across our yard.
I've definitely felt guilty kind of restricting our activities for myself, my family, and my daughter.
I feel some embarrassment about my anxiety because it did become at one point so debilitating that even when friends were reaching out, I couldn't accept it. I am pregnant with my second child, which we're very excited about. I think I feel more hopeful this time. This is almost an opportunity for a do-over.
The pregnancy group that I am in online has been super helpful because we're all going through the same things together, no matter how far along in our pregnancy we are. It's really nice to just be able to just vent.
Those of us who became parents in the pandemic, this is all we know. I have friends with children who say they want to get back to normal, but I don't know what it's like to be a parent not in a pandemic.
Psychiatrist Dr. Catherine Birndorf specializes in reproductive mental health at New York Presbyterian Weill Cornell Medical Center and joins us to discuss. We're so glad you're here today to talk about this, Catherine. Yesterday, we had Simone Tate on from Poppy Seed Health. She was talking about, as she left, she said maternal health, mental health for women is one of the worst things in this country, that it's underreported and nobody talks about it.
Absolutely.
It seems like you were saying the exact same thing.
Right, and thank you guys for doing a segment like this, bringing attention to something like this. It's so important and underreported, underdiagnosed, and thus undertreated.
Because it's not a one-size-fits-all. What are you saying when you're talking about maternal mental health?
Well, I think it's the idea around motherhood.
Yeah.
Right, I think motherhood is not a monolithic experience, right? It affects people very differently. Right? It's a life change. And I don't think we think about it that way. We sort of have romanticized the idea of
have the
what
baby,
it is.
it's joyous.
Oh,
Yes.
and it's natural and it's easy and no problem. But that's not how women feel.
Yeah. No, the popular narratives about how you have the baby, the whole birth process, and then the aftermath is very romanticized.
Right.
And the only question you really get if you're a new mom is like, are you over the moon? And
Yes.
you have to say yes.
Right? It's pressure,
And maybe
right?
you want to say
So
"Eh."
true. I've asked that question many times. Isn't this wonderful? Yeah.
Right, I have to catch myself sometime in my own apartment building. Oh, look at the baby. It's really like, how are you? What I mean to be doing when I catch myself is to look the mom in the eyes and say, how are you?
I truly
So what's
ask.
the reality?
Really ask.
What is the
What's
reality?
the reality?
No, I'm asking you. What is?
No, but you're right, though. What is the reality
That's
of
a
the
good
pregnancy?
question. But what is the reality?
The
Catherine?
reality is it's complicated, that it's challenging.
And all that's okay.
And it's okay, it's absolutely fine. But what people don't get is that you can be good and bad, right? You can love your baby and feel like this might have been a regret. Like, what did I do?
Yeah.
Did I just ruin my life?
Yeah.
Both those opposing ideas are true at the same time. people don't know they can hold that at once and be okay.
Yeah. Or love your baby, but also worry about your identity at work and how you're going to balance the two.
Exactly.
I had my first child in my early 20s and then my daughter in my late 20s. And as I got older, I realized what I didn't do during the first two kids. So the question I want to ask for all the men that are out there, whether you're a husband, a father to a daughter who is pregnant, or a brother to a sister who is pregnant, what can we do? That is my favorite question to ask, because oftentimes when a segment like this pops on TV, men will casually walk by and say, well, that has nothing to do with me. They're not talking to me.
No.
Well, you know what, guys? Let me get my camera real quick. We are talking to you, to all the men out there. You can help, you can assist, you can make these women feel better.
Absolutely. Most importantly is to pay attention and to ask how your wife is or your partner. How are you? What can I do for you? You don't look yourself. Let me help you. You are the advocate, right? You are the advocate. We all need them. And sometimes when we're feeling our worst, we cannot ask for help.
So here's the key point, though. That everything is normal and acceptable and part of the game. But there is a point at which it's just not enough to handle it at home. You need some intervention or help.
Right.
What is that point? How do you know?
Great question. So when are you over the line, right? So when is it too much? And I think right now in this pandemic, everyone's kind of over the edge, right? But when you're not functioning in your regular life, when the stress is too much and it's really impacting you on a daily basis, then you're in another category. Then you move from, anxiety, a little bit of anxiety, particularly for new moms. I mean, it's Darwinian. We have to protect the baby, right? We should be a little anxious. But too much of that is not okay. So it's when you can't stop thinking, thoughts are going round and round in your head, or you don't want to get out of bed, but you're going through the motions of life, or things are feeling bleak, and it's just not what it should be.
Not for a day, but for a little while.
A few days to a week, you start to wonder to yourself. I mean, everyone has a bad day.
Yeah.
Of course.
But if it goes on for more than a few days, in a week or two, you're looking at something else.
Okay.
Dr. Catherine Birndorf, thank you so much. These conversations are valuable, and they're needed, so we appreciate you coming by.